Hello everybody, so here we are to show you our alternative to cling film. Lorna and I have both been given some of these amazing wraps. I've given these square ones and Lorna has it in a roll, but we decided why shouldn't we try and make our own? So we set off to do so, and this is how we did it. Over to you.
So the first task was to find some beeswax. So we went to a drogeria, actually in Sintra this was, and bought a lump of beeswax, which you can see here, which was relatively cheap. Can't really
I think it was about €29 and it was about double that size.
Yeah, we had double this size. We also sourced some fabric, some cotton fabric, and in various sizes, and what we did with it was we took some pinking shears and we trimmed around the edges to prevent it from fraying.
Actually, I think the wax probably prevents it from fraying anyway, but it looks nicer as well with the edges cut off. So now we'll go and show you what we did, how we made it. The things you'll need are the beeswax, a pan, pinking shears, a paintbrush,
fabric,
some tweezers to pick it up and turn it round, and we use some coconut oil which keeps it soft and supple. If you don't put some form of oil in, it gets a bit brittle and cracky, so this just keeps it soft. So here we go, we'll show you how we do. So here we are, just melting everything in the pot. It really does not take long, but it doesn't take long to melt, but it equally doesn't take long to dry. So when you actually start painting it onto the fabric, you need to work quite quickly, or else you can just go back and melt it again. I also need to melt what's on the brush, but there we go, it's all melting in, as you can see. Once it's melted, done. Now that will do nicely. Now we take it over to the fabric. I've got everything already here. And we paint it on. Paint on a thin layer. Just going to board. And then this is where you have to work quite quickly, because you have to paint it on a thin layer because it dries very quickly. Make sure that the material is all covered. There you go. And then you can flip it over and do the same on the other side. Depending on what kind of oil you're using, you will have to get the amount right. It's a bit of trial and error at the beginning, because if your oil, the coconut oil that you're using, some versions of coconut oil make it softer than others, so you'll just have to play around with it to see how much to put in for each thing. Now that's all covered, as you see. It's nice and dry, but we're on to the next step, which Lorna will take you through now.
Next step is to take your hot iron over the greaseproof paper, and you'll see that it's melting the wax again, but it's really covering and making the wax sink right into the fabric. And so you lose that kind of painted on amateur looking effect. that's it, and then you peel gently the greaseproof paper back, and you've got your piece of fabric completely impregnated with beeswax. So the next thing to do is peel this off here and dry it. So hang it up to dry, and you'll see there's a little bit of excess on there which you can kind of scrape off afterwards, but in a few minutes, it doesn't take long at all, this will be dry and ready to use. So if you can imagine that this is a lump of cheese, perhaps Parmesan or something, you can wrap the Parmesan quite nicely using the beeswax fabric like this. You just pop it in the fridge like this. Another use for it could be covering a jar, or like this for instance. You might take a smaller piece, cover a jar like this, but you can see how just by sort of squeezing it together, it covers everything and you can seal it quite nicely.